we all, doesn't matter your personality, style, preference, whatever, we all have some form of procrastination in our lives, period. It just looks differently for everyone. I want
Yeah.
to free people up. Like there's no one better who don't absolutely struggle with anything. Now again, based on your personality, style, preference, things of that sort, you may be in a position where it might be a little more deliberate procrastination. I know I have a couple of those things that I work with in my life, but yeah, I just again want to free some people up. Just saying that first. Now you asked about how do I work through that, my productivity with the procrastination. For me, it is so important. Like we're talking about boundaries and you want to, wrap it all in a bow. It's it's about having boundaries with yourself first. So
Mm,
to avoid those certain things you procrastinate on or you want to be more productive, man, it is important for me, Melissa, to put things on my calendar. For the most part, if it's not on my calendar, it don't exist. Like it'll just we'll procrastinate forever because we don't even see it. It's not in front of us. So I keep it in front of me. I put it in my phone. I have it synced to all my calendars. So anything that I'm really doing, I put it on the calendar. Not every single thing goes on the calendar, but those main things, like how you talk about, I love how you talk about this, your unique item and your luxury item, I should say, like all those things that related to the luxury item, right? For your audience, put those things on a calendar, block out that time to make those things happen. That's how I do it. That's how I coach people in doing certain things, and like it works if you work it. So if you work, so yeah, that's really what it is. Put it on the calendar. The things that mean the most to you. That luxury item. You are the luxury item. That thing you have, the luxury item. Put that luxury item on your calendar before anything else. Right? Work everything else around that versus everything else first and then working on your stuff.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Getting the Win Show. I'm your host, Melissa Thomas. Thanks for joining in. This week, we are going to be talking about procrastination as it relates to setting boundaries and the impact that setting boundaries can have on boosting your productivity because the two are actually very closely connected. This week, we'll be talking to boundaries coach Jas Abraham. That's JAS, Jas Abraham. And she's going to break it all the way down. So she's going to get you all the way together and do it with a huge smile on her face. Stay tuned for this interview. Welcome, everybody, to another Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's edition of the Getting the Win Show. As you can see, I have the lovely Jas Abraham with me, the boundaries coach. And trust me, y'all, she is wearing it. Okay. She got the boundaries coach shirt on, just like I got my goal getter shirt on. All right.
Let's go.
We spreading the message. We spreading the message.
Yes,
Jas, thank you
yes.
so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having
So
me.
Absolutely. So first, like, tell our audience about, the Boundaries and More podcast, your podcast, and, talk about your boundaries coaching. Let our folks know what you do.
All right. So, all in all, the Boundaries and More podcast, we'll start there. It is a podcast where I'm giving practical, very practical tips and actionable items each episode, utilizing my personal experiences, uh, my clients' experiences, just different experiences. But literally, what's important to me is they get practical tips they can implement that day from the episode into their lives. And yes, helping them put those healthy and effective boundaries in place. And what I do as a coach overall, I help young professionals to effectively teach people how to treat them. Right? It's so important that we teach the people how to treat us, and that's what I do. Help them stand up for themselves and feel real good about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is coming from years of experience for you. So kind of share your backstory with our audience and what drove you to become a boundaries coach in the first place.
Man, the crazy thing is just throughout life, it's what I've been doing without knowing that I've been doing. I just putting boundaries in place for myself. The real catalyst, what really like got me aware to what was
Hmm.
going on, is a time when I was a freshman, I believe, in college or sophomore in college. Either way, I was in college and I remember getting a phone call from my mom, and it wasn't a phone call. Well, at least I thought it was just a regular old phone call, but it wasn't. It was her attempting to tell me what to do with my life. And that wasn't flying with me.
Mm.
So I had to let moms know, like, Ma, no, I hear you, but no. Straight up like that. I hear you, but no. Moms did not like that at all. And truth be told, for a little while, she even stopped talking to me because I guess she feel like
Ooh.
her voice wasn't loud enough, and I didn't want to hear it. So she ain't had nothing else to say to me for a while, and it was cool with me. Like it's my mom, but I'm like I'm willing to even, in a sense, cut my mom off just so that I'm able to express myself the way I would like and be who and how I am in all aspects. And once I realized, like, yo, if moms can get it, anybody can get it.
Anybody.
Anybody could get it. So that was actually one of my experiences that really was the catalyst for me, like really, again, focusing and honing in. And as throughout the years go on, I've been helping people, coaching people officially and unofficially. And what I realized, I literally did this activity a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago now, and I was writing it out like, who have I helped? How have I helped them? And I discovered the common denominator. I'm like, oh, this is what I've been doing the whole time. Yeah,
Boundaries.
exactly. I'm like it was all the same thing. Their situations were very different, but that common denominator was their boundaries, and that's what I helped them put in place, overcome certain situations, certain things. And I'm like, all right, I'm taking it, I'm running with it. So that's a little bit about my story and how I got in this space.
Awesome. So, by the way, don't miss the model she just shared there. I just want you guys to understand that. In terms of if you're someone who's been sitting on a luxury item that is related to perhaps you finding your passion or finding your core skill, because sometimes it's not necessarily your passion. One of the things we learned in our mastermind is your passion is for you, your gift is what you give away. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So two slightly different things, but take inventory of what you've been doing, something you may underestimate, but you've already been doing it for a very long time. That may be the very thing you need to focus on. So I just wanted to make sure they understood that. Go ahead,
yeah,
Jess.
absolutely good. Wait, oh, shout out to you for pointing that out. That's
Absolutely.
dope. Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you have plenty of experience with this, with family, with friends, with colleagues.
Yeah,
I love the story you had shared when we first met about like your military experience with it, because you were in the military, I had to set a boundary when like they were expecting you to do a job that was not within your description, and you were like,
mhm.
yeah, respectfully, no,
Yeah,
I'm not doing
about
that.
that, about that.
About that. So
Yeah,
kind of share that experience, let them know, what branch you were in and how you were able to respectfully set boundaries on the job while still
absolutely.
being able to work effectively.
Absolutely. So that's good. This is crazy that you remember that. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
so I was in the Air Force, and I actually recently got out like over a little over a year now. And
Mm-hmm.
but what happened is that I kind of moved units, and when they were kind of used to somebody doing some stuff that wasn't kind of in the scope of our jobs, what could have really been a detrimental to that person, a detriment to that person's career.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't looking at it like that. So that, updating stuff you ain't supposed to be updating, doing certain things. No, like no dish to her because we were really cool now, like it's all good. But they was just requesting all of these things, and her personality allowed her to like, okay, I'll do it. But mine, when I came in, I kind of shook things up a bit. I put some things in place and like, okay, this is the procedures that we're gonna follow, and when X needs to happen, we're gonna take it to these people who are actually assigned to do this job. Because at the end of the day, I know you want your thing done, but it's going to be on my career when the Air Force is doing an audit and they're saying, oh, who made this happen? Who did this? Not Jas Abraham, like, at the time, Sergeant Abraham. You weren't going to come to Sergeant Abraham and be like, why'd you do that? No, no, no. So I kind of put that thing in place, but the unit, they didn't like it at first. They grew to like it because I taught them how to treat me, right? Teach people how to treat you. And that's one of the things just in the military, that I did, navigating things. And I worked a lot with commanders and just higher ranking officials in the military. That's what my job was and what I did. But even with them, like, hey, I know you running this unit, but that's not legal. So we're not gonna do that, okay?
Mm.
I'm protecting you. Don't worry. I'm protecting you from this. I know this person is in your ear and you think it's done this way. It is not. So really, in the military, how I was able to navigate it is really hitting them with the black and white, right? This is what the text say per AFI,
Facts.
blah, blah, blah.
Hit them
This
with
is what it
facts.
is. So that's how I was able to really navigate that in the military respectfully, because they can't fight the instruction, the Air Force instruction. I'm just saying. So yeah, just hit them with the black and white, and yeah, made a
Yep.
difference.
Hit them with the facts.
Yep.
So if you're someone who is questioning how to have those difficult conversations, you guys
Mhm.
remember a couple of about 3 episodes ago now, I spoke with Candace Mackey about that. We were on that episode talking about relationships with parents and kids, or like familial relationships, but even occupationally speaking, people can't argue with facts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Especially if you're talking legalities. Like
Yes.
Jas had to present them with the legal facts.
Yeah.
Like, and I love your approach with that, Jas. You said, "Here's how I'm protecting you,"
Yep.
because that is a difficult conversation when you're speaking to someone who is your superior in the hierarchy,
Yep.
right? Because they'll want to bully you with their position, but you're like, wait. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I understand you want to use your position, but your position won't matter if you're in handcuffs. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
let's make sure let's make sure you can stay free. You know what I mean? Let's keep you free.
Exactly. Exactly.
I,
And it's a
I,
big deal in the military. Just when you said that, it just made me think about something I would always say when I was in the military. Like some of those the commanders and extra senior leaders, they had these positions, but at the same time, I told them, like, literally I had positional power. Like I had more power in a
that
lot
was
of
good.
my work more than some of them, just because of the position that I was in. Yeah, my rank I may have been an E6 or whatever, but here you go, E9, doesn't matter. Here you go, O6, doesn't matter. Like where I am in this position, it allows me to do these type of things. So yeah, I always would say that I had a lot of positional power in the Air Force based on my job. So yeah.
And that's important. That's important for you guys to keep in mind too. Those of you who are watching, if you're ever struggling with that concept of whether or not you matter, your
Mhm.
role is important,
Yes.
especially if the role is directly connected to your specific skill set. You have positional power, and you have that authority to use that positional power to say, hey, this is what's within my job description. Like, I can't go beyond this. You know what I mean? Or it is not wise to go beyond this. Let me protect you.
That part.
Here's the other person that has the specific role you're looking for. Be
Exactly.
sure to tap into them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just know where to
So
direct them. There go.
they'll go.
Yeah.
They'll for sure go.
Yeah.
And this is actually a perfect segue into my next question for you, because you mentioned obviously personality styles, behavior styles. You're also a certified extreme execution coach.
I am.
So, talk about your first experience taking the flight assessment. Of course, guys, this is the DISC assessment I'm talking about. We
Mhm.
call it the flight assessment through ETA, Dr. Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
So, kind of talk about your first experience with the flight assessment and learning what your behavior style was, what your superpowers were.
So when I first took the flight assessment and I saw my scores, I was reading it. I was like, oh, it knows me. It understands.
I feel seen.
Exactly. Like this is what I'm trying to tell people, right? So when I first saw that, I'm like, oh, I 100% agree with this thing is saying, and that actually got me to like, oh. yeah, I'm about this life. That's kind of what leads to me getting certified in that aspect too. But
Hmm.
and also once I learned that, it kind of really let me own it a little bit more. Like,
Mm,
right, so I'm not sure how much you tell your audience about the flight assessment, but I'm a high pilot, high flight
yep.
attendant, got some air traffic control up and through there. But like the main things my flight attendants show a lot. When I was in the military, my pilot probably showed the most.
Oh, of course.
But also in certain environments, like with family and situations, like because my pilot style, I would operate a certain way, but they didn't necessarily get it, or they just felt like, oh, you're being strict or blunt or mean, or no, not really. Like, I'm helping everyone here. I promise
Hmm.
what I'm doing is for the greater good. It's for the good of us all. So actually seeing those scores really helped me to put that thing in perspective and not really shy away from
Hmm.
how and who I am and how I like to operate and my preference. But to really shine in that and really embrace my superpower, because this is what it is. Y'all use it when it's convenient for y'all, but when it comes to y'all want to like, don't do this. No,
Hmm.
I am who and how I am, and it really helped me to just walk in and own that.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. As kind of a follow-up to that, because one common thing I do notice with other folks I've spoken with who've taken the flight assessment, discovered what their superpowers are, how they really function, their natural behaviors, they own it, and then the people in their lives are like, you've changed, or you know what I mean? Like something's different about you. Like, did you encounter that? And did that cause you to set maybe clearer or stronger boundaries
Mhm.
once you had a clear understanding of who you were?
You know what? That's a really great question. Um, I didn't really encounter them like, oh, you changed. I did. What happened was I was able to better articulate what was
Hmm.
happening and explaining it to my people, because they see me as like they've always seen me a certain way, good, bad, and different. Again, I embrace it all. Just hey, unapologetic. Okay.
She's like,
Um, So, but it definitely helped me to articulate even more like what it really was and how it is. And in those cases, I helped, like, how would you take this assessment? I had this thing for you to take, and we can kind of learn each other's styles, right? So it really
love it.
gave me a way to showcase that to my friends, family, close friends and family. And but yeah, that's really, really did not necessarily much of the change, and they just help them understand more, really break it down for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And since you've taken the assessment, you kind of touched on it because you were able to more clearly, communicate what you had going on. But how have you seen? Because what year did you first take the assessment?
Oof. Uh, Maybe 2019 or so.
Hmm.
Maybe 2019 or something like that. Somewhere around there.
So a good amount of time. So how
Mhm.
have you seen yourself evolve since you first took it, or have you evolved
Yeah.
much within the last four?
But when it comes to, 'cause some people are really focused on that. When it comes to score wise, didn't change much
Hmm.
at all. Because it's like my personalities and my preferences, I'm really strong in those things. My dominant ones, it
Hmm.
shows in any and everything that I do. So my flight
Hmm.
attendant stuff, right? My pilot stuff, like we're gonna get you all the way right. But we gonna do it with a smile and we'll bring that joy in there, okay? So it definitely yeah, it just wasn't that way. But again, it just helped me to see more and more of like revealing myself to myself in a way, and being proud of that. Like, yeah, this is how I am. Like,
Yeah.
get for the greater good. For the greater good, I
Amen.
believe it.
Amen. That's actually an important nugget. I hope you guys hear that. First of all, if you haven't taken your flight assessment yet, make sure to go to flightassessment.com and do that. Again, as you've heard me mention in previous episodes, it's a small investment, but a worthwhile
Yeah,
investment, literally a lifetime one. Because
yeah,
once you fully understand what your preferences are, what your natural behaviors are, and even the ones where you might consider ones that you might consider areas of opportunity. At least now you have a quantifiable idea of how to develop them, because
Yep.
you'll see literal numbers and levels and be like, okay, I need to work on this part and this part. So you're not just getting a graph, with results, you're actually also getting several pages with in-depth analysis.
Exactly.
So you'll be able to read and understand your results.
Yeah.
So as you heard Jas say, she's pilot, she's flight attendant, and also air traffic control. So the first two move really fast. Y'all remember that between my conversations with Ray and Rye, because you got your pilot and your flight attendant with those two. They move really fast. They're high energy. A flight attendant is all about creating that experience, making sure you feel good. And then the
Absolutely.
pilot is all about getting you to where you need to go in a
Absolutely.
very focused and laser point way.
Yeah.
And they'll do it quickly, not necessarily concerned about your feelings, not because your feelings don't matter, but because they want to give you the best result possible. The beauty with Jas is that she's not only giving you the best result possible, she's going to make the experience as worthwhile as possible. She gave the hug.
Like, hugging it. Look. Yeah, I like
Exactly. And then the perfect combination with the air traffic control is that she's also going to do her homework
that.
to make sure she does it right the first time.
Absolutely.
Pilots want to do it. Pilots want to get it done. Air traffic control, they want to get it done right the first time. So very
Absolutely.
detail oriented.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. You
yeah,
got it. Listen, you got it.
yeah. So if you're somebody that needs help with boundaries, make sure you hit her up. We'll make sure she provides her information at the end so you can hit her up. But
Yeah.
yeah, just to kind of continue with the questions, Jazz, like do you have a recent boundary, a recent example of having to create a boundary, whether that's with some clients, with
Mhm.
some other family members? Like, what's your most recent experience?
Well, I have a couple different ones, but the one that came to mind first was
Hmm.
again, Mommy Dearest, right? So recently, a couple weeks ago, was on FaceTime call with my mom. She was wanted to tell me some stuff about her school, that they were doing some stuff that she didn't agree with. But I have this rule, and my Kim knows, my wife knows, like my mom, like people know, right? This is my thing. When you want to tell me some news, it is important for you to tell me three good things first, right? That's a thing I have. Yeah. Tell me three good things first, then tell me your news, and then we're gonna circle back and you tell me three more good things, because it's important for me to protect my space, my energy, right? That was important for me. So my mom wanted to vent and kind of tell what the school was in or was doing, and I'm like, hold up, stop it. Tell me three good things first. She's like, no, 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 this is important. I'm like, oh, how dare you? What I'm saying is important too, lady. So she wanted to continue to go on with her thing. So I kind of just left the conversation there and just like let her be. But I also circle back with her and tell her, like, hey, so what you did, I just broke it down to her. What you did, this is a boundary that I have, and you were violating my boundary, but we don't need to do it. So for future reference, I had to be 100% clear and honest. I guess that's that pilot side of me. But if this happens again, then it's gonna be a little different outcome. Like it really in that way. And my mom, and I know it, I know, bless her, right? I know it. She didn't mean any harm, right? She wasn't trying to disregard my boundaries or overstep or any of that. So she really wasn't. And I knew she wasn't. That's why I broke it down to her in the way that I did to kind of explain it. But I'm like, now that it's out there though, you can't do this again. You know now. No now. So you knew before, you weren't really paying much attention, but now you really, really know. There's no in between misconceptions. Like if this happens again, like this is important to me. I'm gonna have to exit stage left. I'm gonna have to- I'm hanging up the phone right then and there. I have nothing else to say, because like if you can't do that to respect me and my boundaries, then we're not gonna talk, because the phone work both ways. It's up to me to answer or respond. So, yeah,
Very, very true.
yeah.
Very, very true.
I was just thinking about it. People like, what? Just thinking about how it's something that might be sounding harsh, but it's not. Like, again, it's for me, my message. You must teach people how to treat you. And if you let them continue to do certain things that you don't like or agree with, it's not going to be make it for a great life for you. We want you to have a great life too. So, yeah,
Right.
it's just important. Yeah, it's important to me.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, I mean, is this something that you've had to kind of reiterate with her or even with anyone else? Like once you've stated a boundary, has
Mhm.
it have you had to do that? Have you had to reiterate it to them sometimes?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because what happens is that when you so insert boundary, right? You got this new thing as they can see new thing because you're just being more vocal about it. It might not necessarily be true that is new, but you're being more vocal. You insert that there, and now they're like, "What is this?" Like it's like a foreign object to them. Like what's happening, or a foreign language to them.
Hmm.
So absolutely, in the beginning stages, they'll be like, continuously potentially overstepping or doing the same things over or not really taking you serious. However, keep iterating that and keep showing them, no, I'm serious about this. I'm gonna keep bringing this up. I'm gonna do this, and I promise you, I've seen it. I've worked with people; they will comply. It just to take
Hmm.
time. Some people on the first try. Some people might need 5. Some people you just need to cut off because they won't comply at all. I'm just saying.
Important
So
point, y'all. Important
absolutely.
point.
But it takes the time. You must reiterate that. So yeah, people think you're not serious at first, especially if they're not used to something. They're like, what is this? It's foreign language to them. So absolutely had to reiterate some stuff until they saw that I was real serious.
Hmm. Hmm. Awesome. So, given that you have been in both circles, you've been in the military and now as a civilian, have
Mhm.
you noticed a difference between the way a military person would need to set boundaries versus the way a civilian would need to do it? Or is it essentially the same set of principles, the same
Uh,
approaches?
so what I've discovered, because I obviously, like you said, I've been in both worlds, and I've worked with both types of clients, military clients, civilian clients, all that stuff. So what I see is all the same. Truth be
Mm,
told, is all the same. With the military side of things, I just using examples based on the military side of things, right? I use more of my military experience so they can relate more to that side of it. On the civilian side, I use more of the experience, and typically speaking, it kind of deal more around the family aspects and things of that sort on the civilian side. So, but I have ton of experience myself and things I help clients with. So either side, again, it just depends on what examples I use, but it's all the same. I tell people that it's all the same because they're human beings at the end of the day. You're just in a
true.
different environment. You're a human being. It's all the same.
True that.
Yeah.
So, given all of that, because obviously, this is a show that tackles procrastination,
Yeah.
and if you're watching it, you're wondering what this has to do with that. Setting
Hmm.
boundaries is actually very important in terms of productivity and beating procrastination because once you're clear on your boundaries and people know how to treat you, that
Yeah.
frees up your time because you're
Absolutely.
spending less time having to listen to them or solve their problems. Like
Yeah.
you give yourself more freedom.
Yeah.
So as someone, who's a coach, you're doing your thing, you're running your business, you have your podcast as well. You're quite busy. You travel a lot. So
Do I do. I do. We're getting ready to travel. Yeah, again soon. So yeah, yeah, you're right.
see. So I mean, kind of talk about how you continue to fuel productivity in your life and kind of avoid procrastination. Because I know like as a pilot, that may not be your struggle, but kind of tell our audience what kind of approaches you use to kind of remain as productive as possible.
So I actually want to take a little time, if you don't mind, for me to
Yeah,
free some people up.
please.
And it is true. We all, doesn't matter your personality, style, preference, whatever, we all have some form of procrastination in our lives, period. It just looks differently for everyone. I want
Yeah.
to free people up. Like there's no one better who don't absolutely struggle with anything. Now again, based on your personality, style, preference, things of that sort, you may be in the position where it might be a little more deliberate procrastination. I know I have a couple of those things that I work with in my life, but yeah, I just again want to free some people up. Just saying that first. Now you asked about how do I work through that, my productivity with the procrastination. For me, it is so important. Like we talking about boundaries and you want to, wrap it all in a bow. It's it's about having boundaries with yourself first. So
Mm,
to avoid those certain things you procrastinate on or you want to be more productive, man, it is important for me, Melissa, to put things on my calendar for the most part, if it's not on my calendar, it don't exist. Like it'll just we'll procrastinate forever because we don't even see it. It's not in front of us. So I keep it in front of me. I put it in my phone. I have it synced to all my calendars. So anything that I'm really doing, I put it on the calendar. Not every single thing goes on the calendar, but those main things, like how you talk about, I love how you talk about this, your unique item and your luxury item, I should say, like all those things that related to the luxury item, right? For your audience, put those things on a calendar, block out that time to make those things happen. That's how I do it. That's how I coach people in doing certain things, and like it works if you work it. So if you work so yeah, that's really what it is. Put it on the calendar. The things that mean the most to you. That luxury item. You are the luxury item. That thing you have, this luxury item. Put that luxury item on your calendar before anything else. Right? Work everything else around that versus everything else first and then working on your stuff. So yeah, that's what I say about that.
absolutely. I love that. I love that. Setting boundaries with yourself first.
Absolutely.
That's very important. And that kind of ties back to what we were talking about before in terms of even figuring out what that skill is or that thing is that you've been underestimating.
Yeah.
Like taking inventory. That's essentially the first step. Like taking inventory of yourself, what that luxury item is that you want to do or complete,
Yeah.
and then setting the boundaries for yourself, which then informs what you share with other people. Like it informs the boundaries you set with other people. So
Absolutely. Let's go.
appreciate
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah. So kind of talk about the, if applicable, like what is the biggest challenge that you're facing in your business and like what solutions have you come up with or are seeking to kind of to resolve those challenges?
So, one of the biggest challenges I had, and it's past tense now, praise God. But I had was, we talked a little bit about my personality styles and preferences and things of that sort. High pilot, high flight attendant. The next highest is my air traffic control, but it's that structure piece and things sort. It's also out of the three, my lowest of the three, right? So it's not necessarily low, but it's the lowest of my top three. And so putting some of that structure in place for my coaching business was something that, like, man, like I needed to get this, the landing page done, all these different things. And my technical skills, little bit, they ain't a talent that God decided to give me. Okay. So,
Ain't the
I get
strong suit.
at all. And so those things were a challenge for me. And it took a lot more focus, a lot more like deliberate and structured time to actually get those things done. But even more so is like me when I was operating in my superpower, doing my things that I am really strong at. There was someone that was introduced to me frankly do my podcast and wanted to help me, who has that super high air traffic control and like, oh, I got you, let me help you. Yes ma'am, yes ma'am, you can help me. Right? So so that was a challenge for me, but again, the things I've been working on and figuring out, she came in and did it like nothing because I already had it written out. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew the vision. I made it plain, and she came in and execute on that. So that was something that was a challenge for me, but not anymore. We good now. We good now.
Good. Off to the races.
Absolutely, and yeah, it's working. It's working. God is good.
All the time. So
Amen. Okay.
so to your earlier point about, and I like that you mentioned that all of the behavior styles do face procrastination in one form or another.
Absolutely.
Do you feel tempted to procrastinate? And if so, how do you normally push past it? What do you normally do?
So, um, sometimes I do, but
Hmm.
truth be told, it's really in the one particular area of my life. Other thing, just the one. Uh, being all the way honest here, and that's more so these days anyway. In the fitness area of my life, like sometimes, like I get it done. I know I need, but again, it's still setting things up a certain way. I'm being structured about it. Like if I need to get it done during this time, because if I don't, it more than likely won't happen. Right. So one of the things to push past that is the things that you pretty like the least or you don't want to do the most, do those things first. Go on, get it out the
Hmm.
way, get it off your plate, do it first, and then you have the whole day to do all the amazing things that you love and enjoy. Like that's my strategy, like to really push past that. Like so first thing in the morning, I'm excited. After I wake up, I say my prayers, I do my devotional or read my scriptures, all that stuff. And then boom, I'm working out. Like it needs to happen now because if it don't, man, likely it won't happen. Do those
Yeah,
things first. So that's yeah, that's what I'll say on that. Yeah.
do those things first. Do the
First.
hardest things first. It'll
Mhm.
feel it'll feel cruddy, at least at first. You'll feel like you're walking through quicksand, but I
Right.
promise you, once you finish it though, like once you complete the task or complete the time block
Yeah.
that you scheduled on your calendar to do it,
Yeah.
it'll give you a stronger sense of accomplishment. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Which will
Absolutely.
give you some more fuel to go to the next task, whatever that is. And
Exactly.
by the way, she ain't lying. Like we've seen her on the mastermind call and she is cycling like like full speed. I'm like, get it, Jazz. Like, go ahead.
First thing in the morning, gotta get it done. I'm like, I'm gonna be up anyway. I might as well get
Yep.
it done now. But one thing you mentioned, but I want to like give this to your audience just to really switch that perspective. Like not
Hmm.
necessarily thinking about, oh, this is crummy, this is crappy, but really honing in on like, yeah, I get to do all the great things I love after I get this done. Right?
Good
So
point.
approaching it with that perspective, like, man, soon I get this done, oh, the possibilities are endless. Like that perspective,
Good.
you bring a different energy to that. So that's what I would say. Just shift that perspective just a bit. Like, don't even think about it as bad. Look, the minute I get done, I can do all the great things I love. Like, and I think I know for sure, it'll help in that way.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Like that's really good. That's
Yeah.
really helpful.
That's how you get over that procrastination. I'm just saying.
Facts. Facts. See that as like, all right, once I get done with this, I get to
Exactly.
do the good stuff. I get to do the good stuff.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up here, I know we're a little bit over, but wanted to ask you, and I tend to ask everyone that comes on the show, like, what do you feel is the most rewarding part of the work that you do?
Oh man. Seeing the people I help live out their desires. Like they have this different type of joy and happiness about them. Like they're doing the things that they actually want for themselves or they actually want to do, or even God told them to do, but they've been listening to family and friends and not walking in their God given gifts. And when I see them actually have this light bulb moment and or I see them just navigating a certain way, oh, it warms my heart so much. I'm always smiling, but I have this extra smile from ear to ear. It goes probably all the way up to my hairline or something, but it's like it's nothing like it. Just seeing really people have that breakthrough and to really walk in that, like I'm telling you, I help they stand up for themselves and really feel good about it. Like I pride myself on that too. Like, yeah, God is good. Yeah. So yeah, that part. That
That
part.
part.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
Lastly, where can people find you? Where can they get a hold of you if they want to get some coaching from you? All your socials, go ahead. Let them know.
Oh man, that's a lot of spaces, but I made it real easy. So Instagram is like where I really like to hang out the most. They can find me personally at the_Jas Abraham. That's THE_JAS ABRAHAM on Instagram, or they can follow the podcast on all podcasting platforms. Also, on Instagram at Boundaries and More Podcasts on Instagram. You asked if they wanted to work with me. I've made it real, real simple, real easy. They can go to my website, which is jasabraham.com/apply. Very important to add the /apply. Or simple, they can text me the word apply to my phone at 210-801-9153. So that's just another way for them to reach me or work with me, get in touch.
Awesome. I love it. You provide all the options. There's no way you can't reach her. I love
I'm
that.
just like, hey, I made it real easy. I'm just saying, just shoot me a text, go to the website, whatever it is, however, whatever floats your. But I believe in options, so I want to give people
Yep.
options.
And I love it because if somebody's like, well, I'm not on social media. Okay, there's a website. I don't like using the
Exactly.
internet. No problem. There's my phone.
Text me.
You know,
Exactly.
just text me.
Exactly. Just text
I
me.
love it. I love it. And again, we'll have her information in our show notes. So be sure to head down there. If you have any questions for Jas, be sure to drop them in the comments. She'll be happy to answer them the day that the show airs. And yeah, DM her on Instagram. If you have any questions for me, feel free to DM me. I'm on Instagram at Getting the Win Show, or leave them in the comments below this video. You're watching this on YouTube at Getting the Win. So, you know, hopefully you pulled some amazing gems. And even if there are other gems that I didn't highlight, be sure to drop them in the comments too. We want to have that conversation, keep that conversation going. But Jas, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. Be sure to subscribe to her podcast. She's on YouTube. She's on YouTube.
Yeah.
So check out the
Forgot
Boundaries
about
and
you too.
More podcast.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
over
you.
there.
Thank you for
So
that, Melissa. I do want to say one more thing. Like, while we're here, I want to really give you your flowers. Right. You've been
oh,
doing
thank you.
amazing things with this podcast, well, with this show, right? Getting the Win show. Is one of my favorite shows to watch for sure. And I enjoy the
Appreciate
tips
it.
and everything that you give people. And it just, again, I want to take the time to give you your flowers. You're doing amazing things here and you're very needed in the space. So yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you so much. In the meantime, guys, make sure you also drop your wins in the comments, and we will see you next week. Stay tuned, stay subscribed. In the meantime, peace. Hashtag get on that. All
Get
right.
on
Thanks,
that.
Jess. I told y'all she was going to get you all the way together. Told you she was going to do that. Again, make sure to hit her up on through her website or via social media or even by text if that's your preference. But she's provided plenty of ways for you to be able to get a hold of her if setting boundaries is something that you really want to make a difference in your own life and as it relates to how other people interact with you, as she said, teaching others how to treat you. And that's very important in terms of overcoming procrastination, setting the boundaries for yourself so that you're more productive, but then also setting the boundaries for others so they don't eat up as much of your time as you have allowed them to. I say allowed them to, because none of us are victims, right? We're victors. We're all powerful in our own right. And I love that she talked about the power in your role, like having that positional power. That was very important. So if you're someone who has been undervaluing yourself or your role on the job, or just undervaluing yourself in general, take that time to take inventory. Let that be your winning move this week. If you haven't done it already, if this is your first episode, by all means, let that be your winning move. Take inventory of where you are right now, of the skills that you already have, things that you've been taking for granted that you're really good at and you never thought about it. You never thought that it was particularly important or powerful, but you begin to notice that pattern, that it's something you've been doing for others for quite some time. That may be where you need to focus. So Take that time, use that as your winning move this week. Leave the comments below. If you have any questions for Jas, leave those questions below as well. She'll be happy to answer them. In the meantime, remember, hashtag get on that. Revisit that luxury item. Let me know where you are in that process, because we're pretty deep into these episodes. Like we're several weeks in now. So let me know where you are on the journey to beat procrastination. Where are you with your luxury item? If you need any help, put that in the comments. Let me know, because I may be able to point you to a who. In some cases, maybe a how. Sometimes maybe that's all you're missing. But I may also be able to point you to a who. But remember, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you're somebody who has trouble asking for help, this is me inviting you and giving you permission to ask for that help. Put it in the comments, whatever it is you need help with. I'll be glad to help you. Any of my show guests will be glad to help you. So let me know what that is, and I'll connect you to whoever can help you. In the meantime, hashtag get on that. I'll see you again next Wednesday. Peace out. Have a great rest of your week. And be sure to check out the merch shop. If you are curious about the shirt, you want one for yourself, you can go to gettingthewingear.com. That way you'll see this shirt, you'll see a bunch of other accessories as well. We've got hoodies, we've got sweats, we've got all the gifts that you could possibly want to buy for yourself and for your folks to get the message out about being as productive as possible and staying true to yourself. Because the mission of this show is to turn procrastinators into producers. That's why I always task you guys to hashtag get on that and make sure you're on top of your luxury item. And that way you can rock the gear to remind the world that you are all about that luxury item. You are all about getting things done, getting the goals instead of simply setting them.